Hello everyone, Rudros here, and I wanted to cover a match I had last night in the RVA Returners Hideout number 189 called Stowaways. If you are not familiar with their content, John's lovely face right there, I will link the Twitch channel in the description below. I don't know why I always say this, but it's hard to imagine you know about my stuff and don't know about theirs. But yeah, so this is a competitive weekly tournament. And I was on stream for the very first match trying to do what I can with Final Fantasy VI versus my opponent Soirees. I was playing against Kyle McGinty. I believe he's from Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And he is playing Soiree Warrior of Light mix. I think I went first, if I'm not mistaken. Given like how many backups I've got set up, I think I went first. Because I think I did Shadow and Setzer. And then this turn I did... what's-his-face? Sid searched out the lock and played the lock. So right now, he just played Tyro. This is where this match is going to pick up. He just finished. I don't remember what he searched out with Tyro, because again, kind of joined us mid-match. So of course I just, all right, well, let's go in with lock. We'll get a card out of his hand. Budding Thoradin EX Burst. And the match is over. All right, good night, folks. Thanks for coming. No, it's not actually over here. However, I did think it was over there. I thought, wow. So yeah, I'm making him discard, but yep, he's going to go get whatever he wants. Which means lock is not long for this world. I do get to rip a card out of his hand, but it doesn't matter because he just replaced it. And then I think I'm going to put out Celeste here, yeah. So Celeste, make him discard again. Now, had he not bursted there, he would be down 3 right now. Celeste is going to make him discard again. He'd be down to 2, man. Oh, that would be huge. And then I'm threatening the lock Celeste party trigger. You can see John showing the lock up there in the camera because there's a lot of commentary throughout this match. And you'll probably see why as the match evolves. Chris Adams is on the mic with John, and I always enjoy Chris's commentary. These guys are big Six fans, Chris in particular, but he's saying this lock is just too old. It's too old, it's too slow, it's too weak, it's just a 7K. He thinks the new way to play it is the 5 CP lock. Just go in all on the 6 characters, and every time you cast a 6 character, you get to draw a card or reveal a card, and then if it's a 6, you keep it. If it's not, you put it in the break zone. And I'll be honest, I've tried that deck a couple times, and it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. I'm not saying it's not good. I have seen him and other people have success, but it doesn't work for me. For whatever reason, it just doesn't line up. Maybe the cards hate me, I don't know. Also, I don't think this lock is quite as outdated as you think. So, of course, he plays Amber, goes to search out Merrill. You can bet your butt that my forwards are going to die right here. So while he's playing that out, I had, it was the last match of the night, and my opponent Amaterasu'd the lock twice. Yep, there goes Elvis. He's going to bop the Celeste. And then, he Amaterasu'd the lock twice, but that means the lock said, enter the field, die immediately, but get 3 cards out of their hand. I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I'm still doing my job of getting cards out of their hand. Now, unfortunately, he didn't play the Merrill there, but he didn't really need to. So I just put down Interceptor. I was like, all right, let's take a second to build up, and this is going to be very important later. And unfortunately, I can't attack over the Merrill. So here is a point where he's right. This lock is so tiny that without some kind of assistance, I can't go in, put him down another card. Of course, Lord knows I could have just hit another burst. This is a soiree, so I'm very, very cognizant and aware that there are some EX bursts that could just mess me up hardcore. Especially after that first one. This will actually impact my decisions later, which will be a point of controversy. Not controversy, but a point of debate. Edel goes ahead and knocks out Umaro into the break zone. Umaro is actually probably a decent card in this matchup. I'll never know because, boom, I just lost it. I think I do have a second one in there, but I want to say I don't necessarily see it. And now he's more than happy to... I think this is where he just pops. Yeah, so he does Fenrir. He breaks my Setzer, which I wasn't really expecting. I'm like, oh, crap. And then he gets Ceremobius. Ceremobius makes Edel and Lock fight. So now, for the old... he just like 2-for-1s me there. He gets another forward on the field. He clears my forward. So he gets a forward on the field, I lose a forward, and I lose a backup. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, you got to be kidding me. So again, I'm pretty much thinking this game's already over at this point. It's soiree. It's got good late game. It's got good mid game. You know, really, I want to be pressuring on with the 6. So I'm not feeling great, but I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just try to be safe. I have the Moogle. And especially seeing he's going to break my backups, I'm like, let's put the Moogle out. The Moogle can't die to Fenrir. It can't die to a Hecaton if he's got something like that. I need a second form of ICP. And I'm fine going to 3 damage. Like, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't remember if he swings in with the Edel here, though. Nope, he doesn't. He just sends in the Sarah. He's like, hey, I'm not going to put you to 3 just in case you got some kind of 3 damage spike, which I do. And the deck, I wouldn't call it a spike, but... And then he just plays the Thoradin. So now... He's like, all right, I'm going to get whatever I want. So I'm feeling, again, it just feels like this match is already over because he now has a full set of backups. He's going to have 3 in hand. He's going to have whatever card he thinks is the best card, which is Warrior of Light. Now, luckily, in a weird way, this actually gives me a window. In a weird way. Like, kind of not, right? So he searches out the Warrior of Light. He's got all the pieces. He's got Earth, Fire, Water. Tyro can tap for Wind. But I know that, and in last turn too, and I almost put both these cards out last turn instead of the Moogle, but I felt it was the right idea to curve out, and looking back on it, I'm definitely glad I did, because this turn I am just going to do a little Last Swell and Charlotte action. So Last Swell comes in. I'm hoping he doesn't have like an Amaterasu, although, again, I'm like, well, at least it'll get cards out of his hand. I knock out the Tyro, because once Tyro's down, he can't use Warrior of Light. He can't pay for the Wind CP, and luckily that card can only be paid off of backups. And then here comes Charlotte as well. Charlotte's going to knock out. This one doesn't really matter. I just go ahead and choose Thoradin just because. You could argue hitting Elvis is correct because it's technically up, but I can't, like, devoid him of being able to pay for CP because he's got Earth CP and all that. Hey, look at that. Ready to subscribe. Good for him. And I'm thinking, well, at least this way, Last Swell might stay alive, right? Because if he plays any removal, he plays the Merald, he has to get rid of the Charlotte. So Last Swell's got a chance. But I played that on curve. You know, I just had to use my backups for that. And I did prevent him from bringing down Warrior of Light. Because that's the big end. So I'm just like, okay. This gives me at least a little tempo is not the right word. Stabilization. Although I still don't feel great. You know, I did prevent Warrior of Light, but he's still got 5 in hand. He's still got 3 backups. It's soiree. He can kind of do whatever he wants. Skip ahead here a little bit. All he's considering. They're talking about Pekiota. Yeah, so what he does is he ends up, I think, removing 2 summons to bring out Une. He has to choose Charlotte. And he sends Charlotte and Sid back. So again, trying to knock out my ICP. And then Merald to click the Last Swell. And now I'm like, oh, crap. Well, I guess I'm going to 5 damage here because he's going to hit me 5 times. There goes the other Last Swell. So he's donezo. There goes Sabin. Boy, I wouldn't have minded having that card. And there goes Mog, the card that is actually good on damage 3. So I'm like, well, that sucks. Good news is I've got 7 in hand. Bad news is he keeps throwing my backups back to hand. So at this point, I'm just like, I don't know how much I should really even invest in backups at this point if he's just going to keep getting rid of them. However, I have to do something about this board. So I tap Interceptor Shadow. Luckily for me, from last turn, I did have Sasano in hand. So I'm like, all right, we got to hit the Sasano board wipe, which doesn't feel, I mean, it's necessary, right? It's not that it feels amazing or not amazing. It's just, it's what I had to do. Drop Sasano. Unfortunately, this won't kill the entire board. Merald will stay alive. Obviously, I have to get rid of Shadow. I need Interceptor for potential haste, and it's a 6 character. And I have to have the Moogle because that's my only source of ICP right now. So here comes Sasano. We'll wipe out everything but the Merald. At least it prevents the Unai from starting to resolve its summon abilities. Because I just feel like once that happens, the game's just beyond over. And luckily, he did pitch his hand to do that. So I don't have to worry about the Warrior of Light coming down. And then I say, okay, let's replay the Sid. I need to go get Edgar. Because I'm halfway through the deck, haven't seen Edgar once. And Edgar is one of the big key parts of the deck, right? So I go search out Edgar. And I'm like, well, at least he's in top deck mode now. And I'm ready to set up play Edgar on the next turn. Pass to him. I don't remember what he does in like main 2, but I know he swings in the Merald here. Yep, swings in Merald. I happily block this with Susano. He doesn't have Alexa. He can't bump it. He can't Tyro it. And honestly, if he wants to spend a trick to keep a Merald alive, that's fine. And the reason I do this too is because one, Susano's done his job. He doesn't need to be there. Two, it still removes her from the game. So she's gone. That's one less Merald to deal about. And he just hecatods my Sid. It just breaks again. And I was like, oh my God, this dude is just killing my backups. So again, like, I'm just fighting to stay alive here. While luckily his hand is low right now. That's the only thing, is that last turn he did have to commit his whole hand to that. But, the thing is, too, I don't have enough 6 characters. So so I actually make a blunder here. I put out Locke, even though I have Edgar. Like, I had considered, well, maybe I do Edgar into Locke. And I said, well, let me do Locke first, because in my head, I'm mentally like, well, no, I have enough 6 characters because I have the Cid and the Interceptor. But because he broke the Cid, the Locke no longer triggers for a discard. So I immediately feel like a doofus. And I'm just like, cool, it didn't even trigger the discard. And then I was like, well, I tried to be a little easier on myself. I was like, I am still threatening I could attack next turn. I think Chris was saying, well, why doesn't he should just haste the lock-in right here with the Interceptor. But again, because of that first burst, I'm terrified. I'm terrified to attack, even though I need to attack to get value because of these EX bursts. If I hit him and he bursts another Thoradin, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I get a card out of his hand. He'll give me the worst card in his hand, and he's going to go get legit the best card in his deck. And the other thing is, too, I am also holding Amaterasu currently, and so I'm like, well, if he plays Edel into something, or if he plays anything other than Warrior of Light, I can blow it up. Unai, not so much either, but... And I think he might go for Edel here, if I'm not mistaken. So it ends up being the right call. No, he goes for Axstar, that's right. So he goes for Axstar, which also says, hey, trigger this guy, let me go get whatever I want. If it was a different burst, if it was like one maybe not as good as Thoradin, I might have let it go. I was like, nope, can't let that happen. Cannot let you search your deck for whatever you feel like. My turn again. I've got an open board, so I'm like, okay, let's see if Locke can actually do something to not die. Swing in. Hey, what do you know? An EX burst in Soiree. Who frickin' knew? Who frickin' knew? We're going to comment on that later, because there's a big turn moment that's going to come up later. That there was a very hot debate in the chat between John and Chris about what the right play is. So I'll bring that up more when we get to that. He draws a card. I still get to rip one out of his hand. And then I want to say Edgar happens next. Yeah, so we'll back it up a little bit. So I have to lose my whole hand for this. But we pitch Edgar. The good news is I can get back 2 from the break zone. One of them is Sabin. It's double Sabin. So I can cast 1 Sabin off the Mog. I have just enough 6 characters now to do it because of that. There we go. And with nothing to blast with Aura Cannon, I just use Chakra to stand Locke back up. Does that really accomplish anything? Nah, it probably doesn't. But, okay. The good news is I have the other Sabin in hand, so if I absolutely have to, I can blast something for 8 on his turn, or I can Chakra. Why, oh why? I mean, Edgar not being able to do that on your opponent's turn felt bad in Opus 17. It just feels worse and worse as time goes on. I'll never understand why they restricted that card the way they did. Because it's Category 6, that's why. If it's Category 6, it's not allowed to just do whatever it wants. The other categories are allowed to do that, but for some reason, 6 just is not allowed to do that. Whatever. So what happens now? To quote Evita, so what happens now? So what happens now? Where are we going to? Plays Edel. I've only got 1 in hand. Nothing I can do about this. I could pop her on the stack, but, what's the point? I think I say, yeah, who's your target? I'm kind of worried about Merald here because it's instant break, but I also wonder, he might go for Vesvia to try to dig deeper, try to get a bigger answer. And he does. He says, yep, I'd rather just draw 2 cards. Knowing, yeah, I can pop the Edel. Oh, and I think here's too what I don't remember if he had this in his hand already or if he draws it off the Vezvia. But he actually sets up a decent play that luckily my mind wasn't even thinking this, but I'm glad I almost didn't walk into a blunder. You know, don't forget Edel protects the other soirees from taking damage. And that's going to matter because given the way he tapped his backups, I bet he already had this. He's going to play Ceremobius. Now he's going to make Vezvia fight Edgar. And again, he knows I have another Sabin in hand. Everyone watching knows I have a Sabin in hand, so I've got Aura Cannon ready. But I cannot Aura Cannon the Vezvia in response. Like, normally you could do that if you killed a forward that you're trying to make fight. If that forward's gone, it can't fight the other forward, so that would make it fizzle. But if I do that, Edel just says, well, they don't receive any damage. So, gotcha. However, what I can do, and it is one of the very few times this ability works, and I think they were saying that Chris and John were saying just use Snap Chakra here, which is what I'm going to do. Pump Edgar to 9k. Always read your cards. I had to reread Ceremobius because, unlike Noctis just says the forward entering deals its power as damage. Sarah says they actually fight each other. So Edgar will deal damage to Vezvia, Vezvia will deal damage to Edgar. So I pump him up by 2, which means Edgar will deal 9 to Vezvia, Vezvia deals 8 to Edgar. Edgar will live, and he loses the Vezvia. Also, Sabin doesn't technically get the pump, and John points it out in the chat. He says, hey, by the way, it doesn't matter for this turn, but just, Sabin doesn't get the pump. And I responded, I was like, yeah, I thought he looked awful strange at 10k. Like, seeing that 10k text on Sabin, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Like, I don't recall him ever getting that big before. Yeah, Chakra, again, for some reason, doesn't affect Sabin himself. Why? Oh, because that's how it worked in the video game. Okay, but that's not good for the card game. Whatever. Luckily, I don't know if that was a mistake on Kyle's part, like if he wasn't anticipating that, or if he knew it and he was just trying to force it out of me, which isn't a terrible idea, I guess. You don't want me to have another Sabin just sitting in the hand. So, of course, now, for the first time in this whole game, I actually feel okay. I don't feel great, but I feel like, okay, maybe I've got a chance here because I have, I've got my Edgar Sabin combo online. I've even got Locke to kind of police his hand a little bit. My backups are still absurdly low. My hand is absurdly low, but you know what? You're saying there's a chance. So yeah, Edgar powers up his brother Sabin. Blows him away with the Aura Cannon, which is still weird to say. I'm so used to Aura Bolt. I just send in Locke to attack. Either if he blocks at the Ceremobius, fine, I get it off the field. If he lets me hit him for damage, I rip a card out of his hand, which he does, and thank the Lord, there's no EX burst there. So I just get to do the thing. I just get to attack and use this on attack trigger and not lose the game because of it. Awesome. And then I just pass to him here. I think I'm just holding Amaterasu in hand. And obviously there's no reason to commit heavier. Now Amaterasu is great against Edel, just not so good against Warrior Light or Unai. But here comes Madame Edel. And I think in this case, I don't even wait to see what his target is, because it's irrelevant. There is no world where I don't just blast the Amaterasu here. I'm just like, I don't care. I throw out the Setzer. I had considered putting the Setzer down, one for more ICP, two, but again, he's broken so many of my big backups at this point. I'm like, what's the point? I'm probably just going to lose it. So now we top deck something very interesting, and this makes that turn that I was talking about. I got Mog. Mog is completely free because I have just enough. I have 4 characters. So Mog comes in for free. Mog dull freezes something. Again, I hit the Tyro. 1, so he can't use the pump on 5 damage. 2, it locks out the Warrior of Light. If he doesn't have that win CP, he can't do it. And then Mog draws me a card. Card feels amazing when it's for free and it's got the entry effect. Now, Edgar's ready. We pump up Sabin. Boom. We blast him. Let's go. Let's go. Send in Locke. Fenrir for damage. And now, so there is a big, big moment here. And it's interesting because I wasn't even looking at this, but I technically have lethal on board. He has 3 cards in hand. I don't know what they are, but Edgar and Sabin can attack. That would be damages 5 and 6. And then I can haste Mog with Interceptor. That's damage 7. So I technically have lethal on board here. Now, I'll just spoil that I don't attack anymore. I attack with Lock. I'm going to get a card out of his hand. And I guess we'll just, we're resolved at that point. So he will go to 2 in hand. Yeah, so right there, chances are there's nothing he can cast in hand with 2 that can affect my board state. So there was a big debate in the chat. My buddy Daniel was in there between John and Chris, because Chris is like, I think you see that Fenrir, it's not a burst. You just step on the gas and you go. And my friend Daniel was saying that too, was like, yeah, you've been behind for most of this match. You have a window. You have to take this window. John was on the other idea. He said, no, I think that's how you get blown out, is you step on the gas and then you lose because you hit an EX burst. And I'm terrified of that. You know, if an Elvis hits here and he just gets a free removal, like that is going to really set me back. It really will. So I'm spoiling right now. I don't attack after the lock. I stop. I'll ask your opinion now. Since this was a pretty pivotal moment in this game, what is the right choice here? What would you do? Okay, spoiler alert. Let me erase what I just said. There's no right choice here. There is no right choice because EX bursts are that stupid that no one knows what could happen. If this was Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or any other game where you didn't just randomly die by trying to win the game, then of course the right choice is you attack, hasten with Mog. That is your reward for playing this Interceptor and for playing this 6 package. That's what it should be, but there's a chance we could lose to EX Burst. Neither me nor Kyle knows that. No one in commentary knows that. It's all just a guess. John even says later, even though he likes the decision to not attack, he's like, but hey, you could have attacked and it could be totally fine. So if you're interested, let me know what you would have done in this situation. Would you have pushed it? Would you have also been patient? Would you have maybe pushed in with the Edgar, then seen what happened, which is what Chris was saying. He's like, I think you swing with Edgar. If it's not a burst, then you go full to the wall. Even though the only thing that matters is the 6 point can be the Elvis and then just kill the Mog. So anyway, I don't attack. And yeah, and I'm very frustrated too by all these on attack triggers. Physalis, White Tiger, Lysine Nimbus, Lock. These forwards who have this text that say to get their stuff to trigger, you must attack. So there's a lot of times I feel quote unquote forced to attack when it's probably not even the right play, because that's what that forward does. That's how that forward gets value. And if you're not doing that, that forward is getting no value for you. Now, maybe in some instances, that's still the right play, but it feels really bad to have these. That's why I prefer the, like, at the start of attack phase stuff, like an Orphan, where it's like, nope, I don't have to actually commit an attack with that. I just go to attack phase and I get the trigger. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go to his turn. So Kyle, I believe he board wipes me here with Hecaton Kyre. Yep. So I froze his Tyro. He's going to tap 3. He's going to Hecaton Kyre and wipes out everything but Mog. And so again, this sparked a huge debate there where Chris was like, you see, this is exactly why you should have pushed, because now he just blew you out with this Hecaton. And John said, well, did he blow you out? Look, you've still got a Mog. Sorry, John, I have to agree with Chris here. Like, okay, he didn't blow me out in the sense that he got every single forward off my field, but he got Lock, Edgar, and Sabin, which are my key forwards. Like, Mog isn't doing anything at this point. Mog's just a body there. Like, if I'm a Hecaton player and I can wipe out 3 of 4 forwards with a Hecaton, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, you know, maybe they were right that, oops, see, now I get punished instead of hitting the gas when I could have. I didn't, so now I lost everyone but Mog. I believe it comes back to me. I think he just Hecatons and passes. He doesn't feel the need to do anything else. And I throw Edgar for another lock. This time, it actually triggers because I have enough characters. Thank goodness for Mogs. Yeah, John saying, nope, it was still the right play. You don't attack. It was very interesting to hear this debate about you should have attacked, you shouldn't have attacked, you should have attacked, you shouldn't have attacked. Right here, I could throw a card away to send Lock in. And if it was like Wind, if it was some deck, I probably would. But this Soiree shit, with all these EX bursts, I don't want to. If I send Lock in, and again, I just get blown out by Elvis or another Thorn or whatever, it's not. I've actually just killed myself. So I don't attack. Unfortunately, wasn't able to hold down his backups. Finally, here comes the Warrior of Light, which means he gets it all for free and reactivates. I don't remember if I have Amaterasu here or not, but obviously I'm not going to waste it on Warrior of Light. I can't remember what I had in hand at this point. Here comes, yep, Merrill, which is just what I didn't want to see. So I think you can guess where this is going to go. Bye-bye, Mog. And now he has 2 attackers because they both have haste, which also means Locke now is going to die because I have to defend. So I take the first point. It's Charlotte. Sorry, dear, you're not defending me from the damage zone. Attacks with Warrior Light, and I have to defend with Locke. And so now, again, as far as I'm concerned, this game is probably over because I have 2 backups to his 5. He has Warrior of Light, which forward I have to deal with. There is no world where I can sneak, even a Sabin or a cannon doesn't get rid of that forward. I have to deal with that forward, and I still have to hit him 3 more times. So I'm like, all right, this, I feel like that. And so again, if this is now over, then maybe I should have attacked. My only real hope here is Edgar. And I think in my hand, this is a very pivotal turn for me. And I think this one takes a minute for me to make a play, and I tell Kyle, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, because I'm trying to figure out. Because I believe in my hand I have Orphan and, what's his name? Gestelian Empire Sid. And so, basically, as far as I can tell, there's only 2 things to do. Play Orphan, make him discard a card. Orphan will die to Warrior Light, he kills me with Merrill. So that's not really an option. So as far as I can tell, the only thing that I can do is play Gestelian Empire Sid and go search out Edgar. I thought about Umaro, but I don't have enough for it. Because he kept breaking my backups, I don't have enough to play the Sid and then play the Umaro. The big 7-cost one. Because then I could send Warrior Light to the bottom and I could freeze the Merrill. But so my only play is Edgar. The problem being, the only thing I can get in my break zone, because if I play the Sid, so I have to Dole the Moogle, pitch a card, play Sid. That leaves me with 2 in hand. If I get Edgar, to play that Edgar, I have to tap Interceptor, pitch the other 2 cards. I have to empty my hand out, which then means the only 2 forwards who matter are Sabin and Mog 6. Well, then I only have 3 characters, so I can't use Mog 6. I have to have 4 to make him free. So my only other choice is Sabin, but I don't have a backup up to play the Sabin, which means I have to pitch the other Sabin to play him. I have to get 2 Sabins and pitch them, so I can't even, hold a Sabin in reserve. I have to empty my hand out. However, as far as I could see with my hand, it's the only thing that keeps me alive, potentially. Because what I can do, Sabin can at least pick off the Merrill. He's going to swing with the Warrior Light. I'm going to die to it, or I have to give up a body to it, but I technically stay alive. And I've been checking his break zone too. I have it up on my screen. 1 Merrill is removed from the Sasano, and the other one's already in the break zone. So I'm thinking, well, unless there's some other unknown removal I'm not aware of in this deck, I should be okay. And the other thing is, too, at this point, again, I'm behind as far as my backups and everything go. If he's got it, he's got it. If he drops an Une or a Ceremobius and clears it out of the way, what can I do? He's got it. I don't have any other options at this point. So that's what I do. I throw out the Orphan. I go get Edgar effect, pitch our hand, get back double Sabin. I have to throw out a Sabin just to cast the other one. And I will get Oracan. And I'm even looking here. I'm like, man, I would love to get Mog right now. Because the Dole Freeze draw card is would have been amazing. But I can't cast it. I don't have enough. He kept breaking my backups. I don't have the 6 characters to do it. So feels bad. So I got to get double Sabin. And again, why can't Sabin become free? Not that there's enough 6 characters here to make him free anyway. So, all right. Aurabolt. And just hope. Now I go to his turn, and I hope. So we pass to his turn. I'm going to have to block this. Now, I'm already thinking this. Here's the one thing that I'm thinking of, is that if he attacks, assuming the only thing that matters is he attacks, I get to block, and I choose who I get rid of, I'm 100% blocking Edgar. Why? Because if Edgar's on the field by himself and there's no Sabin, he's a meaningless card. Kind of the same with Sabin. If Sabin's there without his brother, it's meaningless. However, I'm out of Sabin. This one, the one in the break zone, and there's one in damage. I know there's still an Edgar in the deck because, like I said earlier, I never naturally drew into Edgar. I had to go fishing for him. I know there's still an Edgar left. And I see there's only 10 cards left in the deck. So drawing 2 for turn, I have a 20% chance to draw Edgar. Amazing? No, not really, but I know I'm not going to draw another Sabin, so as far as I can tell, that's the only play to go for. Do it and hope, and then hope he can't mess it up in the meantime. He plays Vezvia, just goes ahead and dig a little deeper because he's looking for that too. Kyle doesn't want me to potentially get that next turn. He's like, no, let's just finish this right here and now. He does draw 2. He ultimately doesn't draw anything that allows him to remove. My guess is he's maybe drawn similar backups he already has here, but I don't know. I don't actually know what's in his hand. So I do it. I block with Edgar. Because if we can draw Edgar, and we actually can play him off of 3 backups, and I don't have to throw out my... at this point I'd have to throw out my hand, but this will matter. If I can get Edgar, I have just enough to play him. It's the only solution I see left in this game. And honestly, at this point, with him 5 left in deck, I don't even think I kill him. I think the point is hope he decks out. And the King of Figaro showed up just in time. Thank the Lord. Now, I do have 4 6 characters, which means Edgar can get back, Sabin, and Mog. Mog can now be played for free. The King just coming in, just saving the returners, man. Saving the damn returners. Mog will be played for free. Yeah, and Kronos pointed that he had to play for that top deck. Yep, that's what I was playing for. I have to get another Edgar. Mog, Dull freezes Warrior of Light, because Warrior of Light is a big, beefy guy, but I think Chris Adams says it too. If he's sideways, he's nothing. If he's dull and frozen, his stats are completely irrelevant. So Mog locks him down. I'll get a new card draw, which doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it, but, it's always just nice to have an extra card in deck. And either Chris is trying to debate if he can do anything here or just... or what he can do. So, yep, he's like, all right, well, I'll just go ahead and ping the Sabin on the way out, which is fine. Mog trigger, I draw the card too, which technically happens simultaneously with the Dull Freeze, but, I had to let it resolve first. And then Edgar, power up his brother, bring, boom, and we're just going to Aura Cannon blast the Vezvia off the field. Now, technically... I could attack with Sabin here, but he's already taken damage. And again, if it was another deck, maybe I'm so scared to burst. I'm like, no, if I run into Elvis here or Leviathan or whatever else is still in this deck, I'm just going to lose. Like, I can't risk it. I have to still just be defensive. However, for the first time, I feel okay because I have a spare Sabin in hand, so I can blast something on his turn if I absolutely have to. And... I'm also saying he's got 3 in deck, and so I'm doing the math right now. I only have to hit him twice. If he draws any cards, I have to hit him a single time. And it doesn't matter. I don't need to win by damage. I win by deck out. So that's kind of the goal at this point. And if he's really, really unlucky and he can't do anything, then I can just swing in and win regardless. But yeah, you can see John was everyone was very talkative during this because, again, people were still debating like, okay, maybe this was the right call to be patient. Maybe he's going to come back now because of it. Kyle, I'm a little afraid. My buddy was watching. He's like, oh, you've got it now, right? And I'm like, well, we'll see. He has 7 in hand and 5 backups. Like, there's a good chance he can do something with that. He pitches a card, and he plays, I believe it's Remora, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, plays Remora, just deletes the Mog. Mog's the biggest forward. And Mog gives them first strike when they attack, which maybe could be relevant next turn. And he draws a card off of this. So it sucks to lose the Mog. However, because he now put himself on 2 left in deck, he cannot draw another card this turn. Because if he draws another card, and unless he can kill me this turn, I can just pass my turn and win that way. And it also means I now have to hit him a single time. I only need to hit him once, and I can win via deck out. So he's clearly like digging for an answer. And let's see, I'll skip ahead just a little bit. Yep, so what he's going to do is he's going to pitch 3 in hand, play Leviathan. And I ask, okay, so what are you going to do? So he's going to bounce Sabin. I'm like, okay, I have no target to use the Sabin in my hand. And so I ask, okay, well, what else are you doing? And he decides to, with the Waterford thing, he targets Ceremobius. So I'm thinking, okay, he can't afford to draw. He's going to make Warrior of Light fight Edgar. So there's nothing I can do about that. However, I now have 2 Sabin in my hand. So unless he can do something else, I think I might actually have him. He makes Warrior of Light fight Edgar. I type in the chat and all caps, brother, no. Sabin watching his brother go down. And it leaves him with 1 in hand. So he's out of tricks. So his hope is I cannot hit him this turn. And that's the I have to be able to hit him this turn. Well, he put Sabin in my hand, and I've already got Sabin. So it doesn't actually matter what else I draw. I think I drew like Kuchaspel. And I think I type in all caps here, like for Figaro. You know, I picture Sabin coming in. I just pitch the Kuchaspel for Sabin, activate the Aura Bolt in my hand, blast Ceremobius out of the way, Interceptor powers up Sabin with the haste, Sabin goes in, and guess what it is? It's an EX Burst Leviathan. Luckily, it doesn't matter because he has 1 left in deck, so even though that burst would probably blow me out in any other situation here, it's irrelevant because again, he's out of it. So yeah, this was one of the best games of Final Fantasy I've played in a long time, which is awesome that this game was so good, but also just a sad because it's so hard to get a game like this. Because as great as this game was, and I was very high off of it, and I had people popping off in chat and messaging me, oh my God, man, that was so good. Like, you made a great play. My buddy said, I'll never question Mog 6 again. That card showed up big. All that was amazing. Right after this, I get paired down against Muhammad, who's running Final Fantasy 13, and he wipes me out in 3 turns. He hits into my damage, Bahamut, Sabin, Susano. 4 cards that I could have used to fight the 13 deck. My only even hope is to play Edgar and try to do a Edgar Sabin thing. Yeah, he just blows it out with Amaterasu. So one of the best games I played in a long time was immediately followed by one of the worst. And what is unfortunately very typical of just modern Final Fantasy, and especially this 13 aggro deck, that you just don't play the game. It's literally over in 2-3 turns, and it's meaningless for you to have even sat down at the table. So yeah, it was a very weird night because, again, to have something so good and so back and forth to then end on that other one, or to then go to that next one where it's just like, yep, here's what it's normally like. I'm always chasing that great game. I'm always chasing a game like this. And, Chris said, yeah, damn good match. And I hope Kyle, I know he didn't win, and I know it's never as fun when you don't win, but I hope he enjoyed it as much as I did, because I have lost matches like this. And you know what? I'm actually okay with that. Like, I love to win. I get salty when I lose. I'm a competitor. I want to win. But when I lose a match like this, I can stomach it. I can be like, you know what? At least that was a good match. At least it was back and forth. I was in it. I actually got to participate and play in the game. Unlike the 13 matches where why am I even at the table? I haven't done it. I played 2 backups that game, and I tried to play a forward that immediately died and got its ability canceled. There's no reason for me to even be at that table. Whereas matches like this are so much more rewarding, but damn, are they just way too rare nowadays. So yeah, EX bursts still suck. I'm tired of my on attack people getting punished by a coin flip. I had to, how much quicker would this game have ended? My buddy said that too. He said, well, how different would this game be if you'd actually seen Edgar earlier, or you hadn't just bursted into all those things? Maybe, who knows, whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to share it with you because for once in a very long time, I actually got a great, satisfying game, and I got to do it with a deck I love, and that's the other thing too. I'm sure we all have our pet decks and stuff that We don't just want to play the meta stuff. We don't just want to play, well, this is clearly the best thing, you have to play that. No, I want to play the deck I love and enjoy. And as much as this 6 deck is underwhelming compared to the top stuff, it's a deck I like, and it's a deck I enjoy because I love these characters and I love this art, and it's very nostalgic for me. So I was very glad to get a win with that. So thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know about that big turn. You know, would you have stepped on the gas and gone for the win? And again, there's no, I don't care what anybody says, there is no right answer to that question. Not in this game. In a game where EX bursts don't exist, or I have a way to turn them off, yes, the right answer is you just kill them there. You always take the chance when you have it. Or even the not even the chance, you take the certainty when you have it. But in a game where you could just flip on a dime and you die, like, who knows? So Kyle, thank you for the great game. John, thank you for streaming. Chris commentating. Everyone who supported me in chat, I did really appreciate that. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. All that. And until next time, take care.